Viewers, welcome back to the Personal Injury Law Show. Before the break, we're talking to Neil McGuinness and Nuncio to tell you about surveillance and circumstance reports. Nuncio, what do you tell your clients when you see them, in general?
Look, obviously there's a range of things that we go through, but the biggest focus, I would say, Tony, is surveillance. The fact that is that surveillance can kill you at any time of your case. If you're not consistent in what you're saying and what you're doing, throughout all your doctors, affidavit forms, every documentation, it can kill your case. It's damaging.
So if you use the word "I can't do this," "I can't do that," "I'm unable to do this," you can't be seen to be doing that.
No, if you say, like I said, I can't do the gardening, and then you get surveillance of you doing the gardening, well, your case is almost shot because you've lost your credibility and you can't get back from that.
So is that what you're looking for, Neil? You're looking for inconsistencies?
Yeah, essentially when a client pays for surveillance, they're making a bet that we're going to catch them doing something that they shouldn't be doing. So for example, going to work, they say they're not working, but we might find them a job. So basically in surveillance, you're basically observing and trying to get video or photographic evidence that the person is doing something that they shouldn't.
Neil, sorry, Tony, do they only do surveillance in instances where they think there's an issue, or do they do it even in claims where they think that, let's just see what this guy's doing?
Yeah, I think there's elements of that, but I know from doing work for defendants, there are instances where I've recommended surveillance be done because someone else has come up with some information that the person's still working, or that the person is able to do physical activity that they said they couldn't. Normally you would hope that the client had a reasonable basis for the suspicion, otherwise they're wasting my time and their money.
The surveillance is about perception, isn't it?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if you've got a bad back, you don't want to be moving too quickly, I guess.
No.
And I suppose an injured person that's going shopping and carrying some bags shouldn't really be worried about that.
No, well, certainly we've had examples where that's been the case. Man videoed going shopping with his wife. Big deal. It doesn't really mean anything.
But if he starts bolting along the road or running across the street, it doesn't look good, does it?
Or if the footage of his helping his daughter move house and carrying furniture.
Shifting furniture.
Yeah, that doesn't look too good, does it?
Yeah.
I mean, he can probably do it and he might pay for it for several days, but it still doesn't look good.
Over the years, I've heard a lot of people say to me, I only did it the one day.
Yeah.
But what does that one day do to you?
One day can kill your case.
That's it. And you're stuck with these injuries for life.
1 minute can kill your case.
That's exactly right. Neil, there's a difference between circumstance investigation and surveillance.
Yeah.
In brief, what's it mean?
Well, surveillance is basically just observation, attempting to observe the person doing something that we think they shouldn't be. Circumstance investigation, there's more of an interaction between me, the investigator, the witnesses, the claimant of its undecided claim, the employer, and various other people to gather information either in the form of statements, documents or photographic evidence.
An important part of your job, and I'm sure that Nuncio has seen this quite a bit, is finding people, that is witnesses.
Yeah.
Do you need that, Nunc?
Most cases hinge on getting a witness, and when you can't get them, it's frustrating, Tony, and it can impact on,
So what's your starting point, Neil? What do you do?
Well, when I work for you guys, one of the biggest things your clients can do is to have information about people they think might be able to assist as witnesses with phone numbers, addresses and so on. Because if I have to go and look for them through the electoral rolls and other commercially available databases, then that's going to cost money. And eventually that may come off your settlement, I guess. Yeah, there are ways of finding people. The electoral rolls are reliable, there are commercial databases. Yeah. And then, if there's no phone number, you just have to go around and knock on the door.
Do you find that when you do finally find these people, are they generally cooperative?
Well, do you like being asked your opinion, Tony? I'm sure that that's the case. Most people are very keen to talk about things, I find. It's rare to find people that are unwilling or abusive. Most people are happy to talk and interested in what's going on. And
Nuncio, it goes some way to proving your case when you've got your client's case corroborated.
If you've got independent witnesses that can assist you, I said it's invaluable in terms of going forward. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are the main lessons you'd say to people, Neil, that you've experienced in your time, that they should be looking out for to protect themselves so that they don't destroy their case?
Well, I think
it's a very general question.
What you're expected to say in court is the whole truth and nothing but the truth, isn't it?
That's exactly right.
And so, if it looks like you've got something to hide, it just doesn't look good.
That's exactly right.
Like this guy who said he can't play football but clearly does.
So look, we're not talking about little things where you might embellish a bit, where you say, oh, I have difficulty doing this and you still do it. It's when you say, I can't do this, or I can't do that. Because obviously, there's explanations for you doing certain things. You can't get a gardener,
Yep.
and you might try and do a bit of gardening. Obviously, under medication.
Look, and we're not saying that you should stop your life and you can't
You
get
cannot
out of
stop
the
it.
house and just sit there. We're just saying as long as you're consistent in what you're doing, you won't fall into any traps.
That's exactly right,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Well, the last thing you guys want is when you have a meeting with the other side and they present evidence about your client that you didn't know about, that kicks a hole in your case. That's the last
That's
thing.
always
you
the scary part for us, Tony. Is if we get to court and we say, is there any surveillance? And that's always the unknown and we can't plan for that, true?
That's exactly right. One of the things that I find is that videos, if they show your client moving freely, how do you perceive that? I mean, you're an investigator. Is that a problem?
Well, to me, it's just footage of someone moving. I mean, I'm not a medical person, so not really qualified to express an opinion on that. However, if the suggestion was, when the person had presented the specialist, that they had a pronounced limp on their right side, for example, or walked with a stoop, and then they didn't, well, then that's interesting, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Neil, is there a maximum or a limit on the amount of surveillance a client or a plaintiff can have on them?
Well, I mean, we'll do as much surveillance as our client pays for.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought there was some guidelines from...
There are
Yeah.
guidelines, but at the end of the day, it doesn't take much to write off and get extensions
Yeah.
and get more surveillance paid for. If you had to give some advice out there, general advice again, what would you be saying to the public or people that are injured?
Just go on with your life in the normal way and act in the way that you normally do.
And say it as it is.
Yeah, exactly.
What about you, Nuncio? What would you be saying?
Look, much the same, and just say, look, we're not saying you can't do anything, we're just saying just be consistent and just make sure and be aware of the chance that you may be followed on that one day that you're doing something you shouldn't be doing. And you will get caught out if you are doing something inconsistent.
Sadly, these cases don't settle overnight because you've got time constraints in terms you can't lodge an application under work cover for 12 months as a lump sum. You've got to wait 18 months of common law. So they need to be patient as well. A lot of these people are in financial straits, so that makes them very edgy. But they've just got to be patient and do the right thing, I guess. That's the message we've got to send, isn't that right, Neil?
Absolutely, yeah. And as I said, if you're not doing anything wrong, you've got nothing to be afraid of.
Look, this is a massive topic and we just can't cover it all tonight. So, Neil, we might have to get you back another time.
be a
Look, I
pleasure.
really want to thank you for coming on board.
Thank
I'm sure
you.
the viewers
Thanks, Neil.
have found that very informative. Nuncio, thanks for joining us on this. We're going to go off to a sponsors break, and after the break, we've got Caffey's mailbag. So stay tuned, viewers. Don't go away. Thank you.